I'm a big fan of the Final Destination films, and my favourite is Final Destination 3, but I do like all of them. And Final Destination 2, I think, is a pretty worthy sequel to the first film, but if this had come after the third film, at which point they really raised their game, I think it might have been a little bit weaker. But as a sequel to the first film, I really rather like it, and I think it dealt with the topic of continuation really well. This one was released in 2003, directed by David R. Ellis, and written by J. Mackye, Gruber, and Eric Bress. Stars, among others, AJ Cook, Ali Larter, and Tony Todd. And the description from IMDb is as follows. Kimberly has a premonition of an accident killing multiple people, including her and her friends. She blocks the cars behind her on the ramp, and as a police trooper arrives, the accident happens. Death is stalking this group of survivors. So the first film, I will say this may have spoilers for the first film, but in the first film, they were about to get on a plane. And they realised that there was a premonition the plane was going to go down, she didn't go on it, and death's still hunting its prey. And in this one, those who were supposed to die on that plane are now going to die in a series of freak accidents as the narrative unfolds. And the great thing, the fun thing, is how are they going to kill them off? And that's always the biggest thrill with this. And what I think is really exciting about this is that it's so intense. Everything about this film and the rest in the series is so intense because you know there's going to be trouble, but you don't know how they're going to die. And sometimes you can guess it. For example, they might be in one room with numerous dangers around them, and you don't know which of those dangers is going to actually cause the problem, which I think is pretty terrifying because a lot of the deaths are possible. Although they are freak accidents do happen in real life. So these things are potentially going to happen in real life. They could happen to any one of us if we were in the wrong place at the wrong time. And they're also graphic. Most of these deaths are pretty graphic, pretty intense, pretty gross, but in the most fun and exciting way possible. And the narrative folds, naturally. It unfolds at a really good rate. The intensity and the fear factor kind of gets ramped up as the film progresses. It's not full of surprises in terms of the narrative development. We know where this is going. We know each of the people is going to be killed off. Whether or not one of them survives, I'm not going to say. I will say there's a third film, but whether or not it's directly connected, I won't divulge because part of the fun is the not knowing. But I will say that the deaths are catastrophic. They are visually fascinating to watch. The acting is great across the board. The development of the narrative is great. The visual quality is striking. The emotions that you will feel are powerful and a little bit terrifying. I love it. Not as great as the first film. By no means as good as the third film. In fact, actually, I think it probably is as good as the first film, but not as good as the third film. And the films thereafter, I think, just get more and more powerful, maybe with an exception. Final Destination 2 is a great watch. If you haven't seen the first film, do watch it, just because some of the character reactions will make more sense. But just based on the nature of the film and the excitement of wondering when and how the next death will happen, you don't technically need to have watched the first film. Either way, it is brilliant.